Nice welcome. I think it is just a continuation of what the earlier presentation was. We were talking about education, and here it is. I am talking about EduKick. Now, as a matter of full honesty, we didn't kick anyone during the whole project, although we did feel like it from time to time when we came across really difficult people, but we didn't. We did kick some balls and some shins and some legs, but that was all. Well, yes. So as you rightly said, SlumSoccers is an organization that uses the power of sports, or rather uses sports as a tool to educate, to interact, and to grow, especially children and youth coming from underprivileged and at disadvantaged backgrounds. What is EduKick, you may ask? Well, for someone like Shaheen, who lives in a slum, this is her only opportunity where she comes out and plays. And not just plays, but learns. And not just learns anything, she learns difficult topics like mathematics, financial literacy, or even life skills. She, like her other 80% of same age children, would never have got opportunity to do this. This all began about 2.5 years ago when I was reading a newspaper, and the article headline proclaimed that nearly 80% of the children who were attending class 12 were unable to do basic mathematical calculations. And not just basic mathematical calculations, they were not even able to identify numbers, add, subtract, anything. So it remained in my mind, and it made me very uneasy, very, very uneasy. And as I drove to my work, I kept thinking about it. I mean, like, here we were doing so much, using sports as a model to deliver learnings and challenge people into asking questions, and this was this huge problem that was there. So I kept thinking about it, and the next thing I did was I went to my staff and I spoke to them, and I asked, like, this is something that came up. So my staff, or the people that I work with, have actually come through the program of SlumSoccer, and most of them have personally stayed in slums and played soccer and represented India at several locations. So they took this as a challenge. They took this as an opportunity to actually showcase what they could do. And they say that, you know what, we can make game out of it. And they did. To give you a little background about what situations are existing in slums, I'm very sure all of you know that. But the children who attend these schools, the municipal schools, are first of all coming from very disadvantaged background. For them, getting out of house and coming and sitting inside a classroom is a challenge itself. They are sometimes, and this is again from my previous experience, we did a small research and we found out that some of them were actually not having breakfast when they came to the classroom. Most of them were actually sent to the school because they were providing them midday meals. The capacity of classrooms, I'm very sure, again you must have seen, they are overcrowded. In a space where only 25 can sit, they have housed about 60 children, one teacher, who herself may or himself may or may not be trained. Or even if she is trained, she finds it very difficult to hold attention of these young students, given the space constraints. These classrooms, they leak in the summer, they leak in the rainy season, and they get really hot in the summer. You can imagine how difficult it is for them to actually sit and learn. But the story of Shaheen, and actually she is a student of this school, and she actually sat in this classroom. It began there, it didn't end there. We began with playing with ideas where we asked all the staff to come up with games that could be used to teach mathematics. Again, our research led to one thing, that most of the times children start to get a little away from maths when they start to find it a little bit more complicated. 5th class is where we identified that we need to make an intervention. So we picked up a fifth class notebook, fifth class textbook, and we went through all the curriculum and we created games for all the lessons. And then we started to talk about it within our group. Our own group was the worst critic. When we started doing this, there were all sorts of opposition. And then we took it to a boys' school. Well, the result was that the boys were more interested in the soccer part than they were in the learning part. So we had to sort of, we had to come back and modify it. But the best place where we started and the place where we found the most need for this was a Urdu medium school in Kamti. Now, if you are from Kamti, you know that most of the football players in Nagpur come from this one region. And, well, they have the best players coming from there, but there are no women who are playing there. And when we inquired, it just came out that, no, I don't think that girls should be playing. This was the first instance. This challenged us. When we went and asked if they want their girls to play, they said no. But when we reframed the questions, we asked them, if you want your girls to learn mathematics and financial literacy and a little bit of English and life skills, all of them said yes. And when we said that, okay, but there's a catch. We can do it only through football. So they had to grudgingly agree with actually letting us use this unique methodology. But the best part about actually implementing the program, or the best thing, was that when we started implementing this program, within a matter of 2 weeks, we started to see changes. The girls who were usually shy were coming out of their homes, and they were coming to the school and not just sitting there, they were smiling. They were waiting for the sports lecture to begin, so the PT period to begin, so that they could come out. And not just come out, they were, there our coach was there, I think he's somewhere in the audience. He was the one who actually, he comes from the same community, so he was able to talk to the parents, talk to the teachers, get them all on board, and then start teaching them. But we never do this in the classroom. We always do all our sessions on the play field. So from us, the idea passed on to this one school, where they accepted it and they let us implement it. In 2 weeks' time, we had parents who were coming and standing there. Now this is again a very clean ground as compared to where we started. When we began there, again, this is the place which is right in front of their schools. When we began, it was full of garbage. You could not walk there. Our coaches, they had to go an hour early just to clean the space up, so that the girls could come and play. But the community didn't just sit there. Within a matter of 1 week, we saw people coming out of their homes and actually cleaning it. The second change occurred when they themselves installed garbage bins without even us telling them. And they were now disposing the garbage in those plastic drums, so that the girls could come out and play. The girls in a nearby school were now actually inquiring that, can you come to us and do the same thing? Well, we never began thinking like this, but here it is. It's just a matter of 15 days. Today, and when we did, this is again a 60-day curriculum. At the end of every curriculum, we do our own monitoring and evaluation. And we found out that almost 80% of them were able to score more than 60% mark in the test that we gave them. But most important thing for me was they were smiling and they were asking questions. They were actually harassing my coach because he told them that the sessions are supposed to get over in 60 days. You cannot go. This was back in December. In January, I got a call from the Chief Education Officer of Nagpur Municipal Corporation saying that, we've heard about this wonderful idea. Would you like to come up and give us presentation? And which I did. And the next phase again is where we are now going to implement EduKick in 10 schools across Nagpur, starting this academic session. All these games are so fun, I mean, and they are so simple that it makes learning fun. If I have to talk about, and mathematics even, I used to get scared all the time. I can confess that. And we realize that they get scared because they cannot see the numbers. They cannot actually feel the number, and which is why we printed them and we put them on the field and we made fun and silly games out of it. But as soon as they got back on the path, they were asking us questions and they expected to learn everything in a similar manner, which was a challenge because we created just few games to teach them, and now they were wanting to learn science and physics through football, which is actually a little difficult than you might think. And we never tried it. We tried something and then we failed, and we said, no, let's just stick to the things that we are good at. In the next phase, we are going to hopefully implement this same program in at least 100 schools across Nagpur. That's what we are pushing for. And in the coming year, we would like to run it across India at our other locations. The story doesn't end here. It may have begun with just a simple thought, but as you can see, I passed on the thought process to my staff, who then took it up as a challenge, created something of value, and then passed it on to the community, who saw more value in it, adapted it, changed it in a bit, and then changed themselves to accommodate this new program. And then the city came forward and took it up. I firmly believe that any idea worth pursuing should not be dropped just because you feel that this cannot be done. I mean, there was every intention when I was going like, okay, why do I have to pick this one idea up and pursue it? I'm already doing what I'm doing. If I have to take one more topic, it would just eat up of my time. But then this question of imagining that this youth would come out of the schools and never be able to be educated enough to identify numbers or do financial literacy, that was scary enough for me, which is why I took that plunge. And along with me, I dragged my good team. But the change is visible. And we are more than proud to, this was when we actually graduated them. All of them were passed, and there are marks on the certificate which we gave them. And we believe that this simple solution, because this doesn't take much money, it takes just footballs and few printed cardboards. We knew that if we had to change the system, we cannot ask for technology because they didn't have it. The classroom barely had chairs, so we cannot even ask them to buy costly stuff. What we did was we used what we had. We modified what we couldn't, and we presented it to the kids who we wanted to work with, and they adapted it, they made it their own, and now the program has a life of its own. In the end, I would like to tell you that if you have a good idea, don't just drop it just because you feel that your circumstances are limiting. Rather, explore them. Talk to your friends. A good idea always deserves to be heard by many and then taken back. And just like this idea took its own life and now is a full-blown project, I believe that every idea needs to run its own course.